Hello, everyone, and welcome to Allianz Joy. It is great to be here today. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Allianz Joy. I am Elian Haan here on the Win-Win Women TV network. And of course, you can find episodes on YouTube. You can find episodes on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV. We are all over. Today, I'm going to share a little bit with you about common pain issues, and we all do that, and we all suffer from that, and we all do have them. So I just want to give you some handy tips that you can use at home to alleviate the pain or to kind of work through it. Maybe it might feel a little bit better. Maybe it might actually go away if you have some back pain, things like that. So we don't always know what to do, and we're not introduced to it. So let's go through a few things that are very common. I want to share with you a little slideshow, or not so much a slideshow, but some information of this slideshow that you can actually find on my website, www.alianhaan.com. And there's a free PDF. So in that PDF, I share some common pain issues. There's 5 of them in this PDF. And if you like to look it up so that way, you can do some of these things at home, you can recognize it, and you know where it comes from. So if that is the case, then you love this show, because you can really kind of do this with me and find out where you are at. So the first very important thing, one of the things that we all suffer from time to time, are chronic, and this is a big issue in the United States. We do have this back pain, right? A whopping 80% of adults are suffering from chronic back pain. And this is just a situation that is, I always say, a sign of the times, because we do sit too much. So for that reason, we all have, just stiff hips and lower back, and we might experience just some pain in the lower back. We might have that lumbar stiffness, the lumbar and the thoracic part of our back. And if that is the case with you, that doesn't feel good. So we definitely do have to do some stretches for that. And if you can do that at home, put your yoga mat under the television, like I always say, and do these exercises at home, because they are so awesome for your lower back. So we all suffer from back pain. It can impact your lower back. Of course, it is the lumbar region, right, of your back, the middle of your back, or even the upper back. We just do keep a lot of stress and anxiety between our shoulders, and that is the case for everybody. So if that is the case for you, then you just have to also kind of let go of that stress in your neck and in your shoulders, right? So talking about that, the second thing that we all experience is that neck pain. And if you have a lot of neck pain, then there's a lot of causes for that I also discuss in that little PDF, just a few of those things that you might experience. But a lot of this neck pain is due to bad posture, and is due to stress. And just, I talk a lot about the mental connection and the body connection, right? So these two, emotionally, mentally, and physically, we are connected. So there's so much in that somatic field that we know now. And we know that if we have a lot of stress, and we're just constantly on the thinking path, right, of cannot let go of worry, and we cannot let go of the what ifs and the things that we are suffering from. We cannot let go of trauma, because we just have experienced a lot of that. If that is the case, then this will settle and manifest in your body. I always talk about that. This is now such a common thing. We are going to work more and more on that. I do this a lot in my work. I can see if my patients are coming in either for life coaching, or for anxiety, or for pain management. All 3 things, or just in group classes for yoga or meditation. I can always kind of see where you hold that pain in your body. And it might be really old, it might be a PTSD thing, it might be trauma from far, far, far away. But if we never really relaxed and released the body, then we just don't work through that. So there is a lot of common things, of course, for your neck. Number 2, your shoulders, and number 1, your back chronic pain that everybody suffers from a lot, but there's a lot of things that we can do. You can always go to physical therapy or get a good massage, right? A therapeutic massage, or you can do yoga with me. And some of these things that we're going to do today are coming from that yoga perspective. And of course, you can go to somebody for pain management, or you can even get injections sometimes to release those muscles and to alleviate the pain. But the most important thing that we need to remember is that we do not always need to take medication for it. So in a lot of ways, we can take care of our own body first before we go on that medication pattern. So this is always me talking about trying not to take too many pills. I know they're necessary, but we do not want to overdo this with a lot of medication, right? So the neck pain is a common thing. It's where we keep our stress. It's where we keep in our upper body sometimes a lot of anxiety, and we're hyperventilating. We're not breathing right. So a lot of posture correction might help with that. And I'll give you a few short little things to do for that. And then the number 3 that we also talk about a lot is that we have headaches, and the headaches are not funny. They're not good. If we suffer from headaches, you're just out all day. You just do not want to be there. It is not a fun thing. And there is a lot to say for headaches, in a sense of holding on to stress as well, and really just holding on to a lot of pain or trauma, but also just maybe sometimes it's not breathing right. Sometimes it's change of environment, and a lot of that oxygen that you're in. So you might be from an airplane to an airport to fresh air and go back. So all these outside exterior influences might cause a good headache. There's a few things that we can do instantly to see if we can alleviate those headaches, and if we are able to kind of work that away. The bad thing, of course, is just to go to sleep and go to bed, but we're not always able to do so. So headaches are not fun. 8 in 10 adults suffer from headaches occasionally. So it's really just a chronic thing that we feel, that we periodically take home, or even some people office space a lot, right? And breathing that air all the time from the air conditioning in office spaces that help, that is a lot the case. And also with people that just work too much, right? We just get too much of it. And definitely if you're behind, that's fun. Computer screen all day. So that might have to do with it as well. Around 1.2 million people are going to the emergency room for migraine attacks. And that is a lot of people, my friends. So we want to see if we can just avoid that and do something for it in the moment when you feel that coming up. And maybe that may alleviate the headache a little bit. So there's also things like untreated neck pain and, poor habits when it comes to your food, and you don't drink enough water. Just dehydration has a lot to do with headaches. And also headaches and migraines might be caused by the wrong or overuse of medication. That's a different story. But so there's a lot of things that you can do about that, right? You can also do some exercises that I'm going to give you today. Some people go for massages again, acupuncture. This whole thing has to do with each other, right? So that might help a lot, and pain management and a chiropractor. Wonderful. I do once a month or every 2 months, just for maintenance, even if you do not really have an acute issue or a lot of pain in the moment. You might just want to consider a chiropractor for maintenance, and just go and pull that spine, lengthen it, and let it all breathe and be there, right? So when you are having a headache, meditation sometimes even might help for that. So that is one of the things I want to discuss as well. And then we have a lot of pain issues, common pain issues. Chronic pain is suffering from arthritis, and a lot of us have that, and including myself. I mean, even knowing that, unfortunately, I'm not getting any younger. So, you kind of feel that it's a difficult thing here for me is always like, did I work out too much? Or did I not do enough of this, that, or the other? But ultimately, you might have, just like me, arthritis in your shoulders, the onset of arthritis in your hips or knees. And yeah, it is just a case, it's just there. And I have noticed that as long as I move through it, remember our bodies were made to move. As long as I move through it, it helps me. So I might get up with that chronic pain in the morning, but I do a few exercises, or I start moving, or I start teaching. For me, that's easy to say, right? Because I have those wonderful classes during the day. But if you start at exercise, then that might help in the moment. So you just kind of have to go through it and kind of have to keep moving and move with it, right? Move through it, move with it, and feel hopefully a little bit better. So in that case, those arthritis attacks, it might cause a lot of pain, but just keep moving and do the same thing every day to try to alleviate that pain. There is progress in arthritis, and that is just the case when we get older, but we can kind of push that whole process a little bit towards the back burner, so we can do this a lot longer, keep moving, keep exercising than you thought you would be able to. We are, as human beings, this is one of my biggest things that I always say, so able to do a lot more than we think we can, right? So you just have to believe it. You have to believe that you are able to do a lot more than you think you can. I'll give you an example of that. In many of my classes for years and years and years, I had some after classes, adult fitness exercise classes, just we called it after in the days, and they were 55 plusers, and I would call that mature adults, right? But we have these onset of all kind of chronic problems coming into our bodies. And people would come in my class and say, well, maybe I am not able to do a down dog, or maybe I am not able to do a plank because of my shoulders and the pain. And I would just kind of not mention it and say, let's see how you feel after class. Just do what you can and see how it feels. And then we'll discuss it immediately after the exercise or after class and see how we can either adjust that or either kind of diminish it a little bit in quality or in quantity, right? So if you do that as a teacher, of course, great, right? But sometimes, or in the moment, actually, if I would be teaching and if I would have that knowledge for my clients, for my students, I would still say down dog, plank. And just because we're moving in the moment and we're hearing that beautiful music and we're feeling that amazing stretch, we are just going with the flow. And before you know, going with the flow, before you know, everybody was doing a down dog and a plank or a plank on their knees, and develop that strength, and at the same time that mobility, that range of motion, that flexibility in your shoulders, so that without thinking about it, they were already doing it. And my patient, my client, my student was already doing it. Many cases of these, but that's why I say, you know, with my clients, with my students, many cases of this where I can do that, and I would just not mention it while we're going with the flow, and bam. Did you see that you just did it? You just did it. You didn't think about it. You just make that down dog. You just make that little plank. So it's not so much about the exercise itself. It is about our mindset and what we feel and what we think that we cannot do. And we kind of talk ourselves sometimes into that mode of fear, where that will hold us back from doing just exactly the opposite, right? That makes us sit down on the couch and we're lost at that moment. One of the last things that I discussed in this simple PDF, and it's just kind of like an easy printout, it's free on my website, is that we all have nerve pain. And one of the things that, or might suffer from nerve pain, one of the big chronic pain things with all of us. And one of the things that I see and deal with most is the sciatic nerve. And there's some simple things that you can do for that sciatic nerve. So I'm going to show you a few of these things right now and see if you can enjoy those exercises with me. And I have some tools or some props for that as well. Now, if I work with props, I don't even like to use, you don't have to really expensive props from the fitness store, because if you buy those, they might be very expensive. For instance, this is a Bender ball. Thank you, Leslie Bender, for those amazing things, right? For these amazing balls, exercise balls. They're very sturdy. They need to be a little bit deflated so you can use them. But I love to use just the store balls that you can find for the kids and use those if you don't want to spend a fortune, $5 or 20 or 30, right? So if you are going just to the store, I find a lot of different sizes of balls in the pet store, or at your big supermarkets, because these are all wonderful to use to lay down on and to use for a lower back to go through pain, or use them to roll over. And I'll show you that in a minute. And we can also just kind of like massage your shoulders with it. What I even like to do more is this, right? We got the tennis ball, the famous tennis ball. And so for that reason, you do not have to spend a lot of money. You got those toys already at home. Look what I found. This is a great toy for foot pain and for arthritis and for nerve pain in your feet. And if you roll your feet over this thing, then you can immediately feel a form of relief. So let me take some of these toys and show you some of those things that we can do with them. What I do for instance, for that chronic pain, I'm going to show you this on an angle. If you might want to sit down, I'm just not going to lay down today, so I'm showing you a few things that we are doing sitting today. And let's start with this tennis ball. So for back pain and lower back pain relief, and for hip pain, we can use the tennis ball and sit on it. Don't tell anybody. So you use this tennis ball and you go sit on the couch. It's a little bit more difficult on a chair, but let's say you sit on the couch when you watch television. You put it underneath your behind, and that will just kind of push and make it bend in the piriformis muscle. And the piriformis muscle just kind of spreads out around those areas of your sciatica, right? So that way you can relieve and ease the pain a little bit. So you just kind of sit on the ball if you like to do that. You can also, for your hips, use this ball just to start rolling and massaging a lot of pain. For instance, the IT band, this one is always tense, right? But it's supposed to be. We're not supposed to have to say, well, my IT band is just like never stretched out and always, well, it's supposed to be tense because it's part of our lateral support system. It keeps us strong and keeps us up. Now, one of the things that we want to do, and I'm talking you through this, is while you're massaging those muscles with a tennis ball, for instance, you can simply feel how you can start moving in a little bit of a better posture by just coming to sit straight up, right? So if we hinge. Now, what's the word again? If we slouch on the couch, we can also come to a better posture sitting straight up and using the length of our spine to open up and to take care of some little issues that we have. So use a tennis ball for all kinds of little things. Issues, chronic issues in your tissues. Here I go. I roll that tennis ball all the way over to my neck and shoulders. So we're talking number 1 and number 2, back pain, shoulder pain. I just want to use that ball to roll and massage. I really feel a nice tingling feeling there in my muscles. So you can use it for everything. It's a great thing. It's also good for your hands, kind of squeezing, but I like to use a stress ball better because now this one is a little hard for your hands, right? But we can certainly move, and we can also use this for our feet. We can roll our feet over that tennis ball, or we can roll our roller. You gotta have all these toys around at the house just to kind of play with when you are getting off the couch and you're getting on your mat on the floor, or if you're sitting, right? Anywhere you're sitting, even I have one under my desk if I'm working. I use that to roll my feet out. Now we want to have that lower back support us. So many times we like this lower back support. We like to have that feeling of lengthening and a little bit of an arch, right? You do not want to lean back too much, but you just want to have that lower back arch support, we call that. There's wonderful, but more expensive support cushions kind of in this little half moon form on websites like Amazon and so forth that you can buy, and then you can strap around your chair. And that way you have that arch support, because that is so important to lengthen our spine and keep that perfect posture. So we want to work with these balls. You can also use this ball to put underneath your hip or your lower back when you lay down on the floor on the mat, and stretch out with it or roll out a little bit over it. And that's why I say not to have it a little bit deflated, because if you have it a little bit deflated, it's a lot easier just to kind of roll your hips and roll your lower back over it. Another thing that we really love to do to stretch our neck is to put this, I like that for my upper back, to put this against the wall. And if I put the ball against the wall, I'm just going to just kind of rub with my body over the ball. So the massage is in between my shoulders. And it feels really good. So only small things you can do, and use these toys to stretch your lower back, to stretch your shoulders, or to release actually the pain in your shoulders, right? That's what I'm trying to say. So when we're talking about posture, upper back, and headaches, one of the things that I didn't show you, but that you can do for headaches, is lay flat on the floor. I'm going to show it to you anyway, because it's wonderful for a headache. You want to lay down flat on the floor. And what you do is, this is really simple for me to demonstrate. You throw your legs against the wall. If I had a wall here, I throw my legs against the wall. So I'm going to create this 90-degree hip angle, right? And this is really a good feeling, because if you do that, then you leave your legs out, and just the weight of your legs can slowly back into your hip and into your lower back pelvic area. And your lower back will just softly flatten, will softly become really spread out. Lumbar part of your spine, where there's a natural curve usually, will slowly flat out on the mat or on the floor where you are. So kind of scoot up to the wall a little bit, right? And lay down and throw your legs up on the wall. We call that in yoga, legs on the wall. Legs on the wall. One thing that we're doing here, and that I'm doing with you real quickly for our shoulders, is just daily roll. Just a daily roll, because it's really important, and a daily swing here, right? So you can also do it with your elbows if this feels good. We want to keep that rotation going of the spine. It is so imperative that we keep going with that spinal rotation. Really important. We want to keep loose. We want to bring our head to the side. We want to drop our head to the side. We want to make half circles forwards to really get rid of the shoulder tension. And with that posture, boom, our shoulders are falling forwards, right? And we want to have those shoulder blades back in place. I'll show you. This is my good side, right? You want to have that shoulder blade back in place. You want to have your heart open to the sky. And if you do that, then you feel that you're lengthening and that you're standing up straight. And lots of us, a lot of us, boom, kind of hanging, right? So we want to watch the posture all the time, because that will actually already take some of the stress out of your body, because you have that posture and it's all just tight. And then we don't want that. So drop your head to the side a little bit, just to stretch your neck out here. And I'm going through everything fast, because I just want you to have kind of like a toolkit, right, to take home. But you understand that you can do this longer with a couple of nice deep breaths, just really enjoying these stretches and feeling that feeling of your neck stretch, or rubbing your chin over your upper body, or work with that tennis ball, right? Feels so good. Even if you have a little or a softer ball or a stress ball, keep rolling and keep working. It's kind of the same thing as we do with those rollers, those foam rollers, when we work that tissue, right? So it's really important. One thing that we can do that I also wanted to add on into a quick fix here is just try to relax forwards. If you want to do that from your chair, what you do is just going forwards and kind of spread your legs a little bit. I have many videos on this. And you just go hand forward just to relax your back fully. Gonna stretch out to the floor here. Just to get rid of the back pain. So even if you're sitting, if you're correcting your posture with your shoulders in the right place, and you go deep down forwards, you can still relax all the way through this area of the lower back. Would you see what I'm doing? I'm scooting forwards on the chair. That's, you do want to do that because you want to have your hamstrings not on the chair, but off the chair. So now we can really pay attention to the spine if we do go forwards. And the last one I'm going to discuss with you, because we are always running out of time, is that you cross your foot by your knee. Now, this is very difficult to do for a lot of people. We call this the figure four, and you can do it different ways. I did show you different ways. But let's try today to sit up straight and come. Your first effort here, which is the most difficult one, is to come sit onto those two sit bones and lengthen your spine. So I'm trying to get a 90-degree angle right here. Yeah. So if I do that and I sit straight up, then I try to bring my upper body towards my knee. So this knee is open, wide open, my foot's by my knee, and I'm trying to go with my upper body to the knee. And that way, I really feel a huge pull here in the sciatic area. So it's a great, great stretch for any form of sciatic pain. So going forwards a little bit with your body, with your shoulders towards the cross leg, right? And just kind of hanging out there. Try to reach towards your toes, moving into that direction, or not even being there is the first step that you can do to try to alleviate some of that sciatic pain. It actually gets, and we call that sometimes the piriformis syndrome. You think it's the sciatic, but we just have to stretch the piriformis muscle. And that is that muscle again on the lower back and around the hip that really, really, really kind of tightens when we have that sciatic pain, and everything goes in that mode, and we want to relax, right? So if that is very difficult for you, then one way you can do that stretch is to just put your leg on a chair. And if you can, if it feels good, then take it a little bit higher, right? Wherever you have some form of level here, and you go stretch forwards towards it. So when you bend into the leg, you can really feel that stretch on the side of the hip, and that's what we want. So these are some of the most common exercises that I love to share with everybody in class format or one-on-one or in my webinars, in Zoom classes, things like that. And I always touch on these exercises. I will actually tell you so much about it that you actually can never forget anymore, and we'll take it home and do it at home, because that is my thing. I would love for you to do this at home and feel better at all times. So I gave you some ideas. Lay on the floor, legs all the way up for headaches and for neck tension, as well for headaches and neck tension. Throw it all out, stretch it out, roll it out with your little balls. For lower back and shoulders, put your ball against the wall and rub against it. All right, just getting a little bit of the massage again, of the tissue massage there. And for lower back and hip arthritis pain, and for that sciatic, sit on your chair, improve your posture, bend over forwards towards the leg, and do some of those good hip stretches. I hope you really enjoyed the show today. I really hope that you got something out of it. I appreciate you so much. Stay after so we can discuss this, and you can throw all the questions at me. So have a great, great rest of the day. You can find a lot of these exercises on my YouTube channel that you can find through clicking on my website. And oh, look what I just published. A book. Just a book I just published a book. So find that on Amazon or on my website. Click, 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 click away. www.elianhaan.com. And of course, you can find all these shows on winwinwomen.tv. I see you next week. And I wish you a wonderful, wonderful week. Make it a great week. Namaste. Thank you for being here today. See you next time.